Hello, everybody. Today, I bring you a rocking Trojan horse. Let's take a look. Very cute. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Let's hook this rocking Trojan horse together. We started at the head. Let's go. Wrap the yarn around your fingers and take it off. Lay the yarn with your left hand. Hold this place. Crochet in. Wrap the thread around and pull it over. And then you crochet it around. Pull this little loop. This is a chain stitch. Next, we start to hook single crochets in the loop. For the first round, we need to hook 6 single crochets. Put the crochet in and press the yarn and pull it over. Put the 2 loops together. This is a single crochet. We mark the first single crochet. Let's take a look. The stitch is a V-shaped shape like this. Next, we hook the second stitch. The crochet presses the thread and pulls it over. 2 loops together. This is the second stitch and the third stitch. What about single crochets? We use the letter X for them. The first round is 6x. So let's take a look. We hooked 6 single crochets. Then pull the end of the thread tightly. Take a look at the first round and you're done. We used a stitching method of a spiral hook. So no pull connection required. We went straight to the second round. For the second round, we need to hook 6 increases. Crochet a single crochet in the first stitch. Let's take this marker off. Let's take a look at crossing these 2 lines horizontally. This is where the stitch is. Let's hook the first single crochet first. Mark it well. Then hook a single crochet into the second stitch. Hook a single crochet again. This is an increase. 1 increase is equal to 2 single crochets in each stitch. We use the letter symbol V to represent. Thread the crochet through the second stitch. Continue to hook an increase. That is, hook 2 single crochets. The second increase is done. What's next? We hooked all the 4 increases. Two single crochets in each stitch. How about this? After the second round is hooked, there are 12 single crochets. Let's take a look. Second round is completed. What about the third round? 1 single crochet and 1 increase is a group. Repeat the hook 6 times. Well, first of all, hook a single crochet in the first stitch. Mark it well. Then hook an increase into the second stitch. Check a V. That is, hook 2 single crochets. 1 single crochet and 1 increase. It's a combination. This whole round is hooked a total of 6 times. There is a hook in the third stitch. 2 stitches are hooked inside the fourth stitch. It was done the second time. According to this method, hook all the next 4 times. And we learn to look at this crochet diagram. We can see the diagram later and follow it to hook. What about after the third round? There are 18 single crochets. Let's take a look. The third round is officially completed. So we went on for the fourth round. 2 single crochets and 1 increase is a group. Repeat the hook 6 times. Hook a single crochet inside the first stitch. Mark it well. Then put a single crochet in the second stitch. Here are 2 single crochets. Then hook an increase inside the third stitch. Let's take a look. 2 single crochets and 1 increase. It's a combination. You need to hook this whole round 6 times. 2 single crochets, 1 increase. It was done the second time. How about this method? Hook all the next 4 times. What about after the 4th round? It will become 24 single crochets. And we learn to look at this crochet diagram. Let's hook this 4th round first. So let's take a look. We are done with the 4th round. What about the 5th round? We hooked single crochets in each stitch. Hook these 24 single crochets. Everyone follow me to hook. Mark the first stitch. Hook this whole round. So let's take a look. The 5th round is hooked, and we went on for the 6th round. For the 6th round, 3 single crochets and 1 increase is a group. Repeat the hook 6 times. There is single crochet hooked inside the first stitch. Mark it well. Here are 3 single crochets. Then hook an increase inside the 4th stitch. 3 single crochets and 1 increase. It's a combination. We hooked a second time. First hook 3 single crochets. Occupies 3 stitches. Then 1 increases. According to this method, we hooked all the next 4 times. What about after the 6th round is hooked? We will become 30 single crochets. Okay, what about after we hook this 6th round? And then rounds 7 to 9. We just hooked single crochets in each stitch. That's it. Everyone follows me until the 9th round. Okay, we got all the way to round 9. Now we're going to do round 10. Let's hook the front 20 stitches first. Mark the first stitch. After 20 stitches are hooked, left alone for the remaining 10 stitches, we first hooked for chain stitches. Then we skip these 10 stitches. The first single crochet we mark directly from this. Hook a single crochet inside the stitch. Just started hooking round 11. And round 11, we just hooked these 24 stitches directly. What about these 24 stitches and these 10 stitches? Don't worry about it. In fact, what about the 10 stitches we reserved? That's where we hook the neck later. The 10 stitches are part of the neck. So what happens is, we start with the first stitch. Round 11. Hook a single crochet and mark it. On round 11, we're hooking these 24 stitches. Just hook for stitches on the 4 chain stitches. Hook the first 20 stitches first. Okay, what about after the hook is done? We continue on top of these 4 chain stitches. Correspondingly hook for single crochets. Okay, after the hook is done, we are done on round 11. 24 stitches in total. What about the next rounds 12 to 14? We hooked single crochets in each stitch. Just hook these 24 stitches. You're following me up to round 14. Okay, we continue to hook round 15. Round 15, we need to reduce the stitches. We first hooked for single crochets and marked the first stitch. Then the second stitch, third stitch, and fourth stitch. Next, a decrease and 3 single crochets is a group. Repeat hook twice. Let's hook a decrease first. Pick up the front loop of the 5th stitch, this single loop. Then pick up the front loop of the 6th stitch. Then the crochet hooks the yarn. Go through the front 2 loops and put the last 2 loops together. This is a decrease for a single crochet. Reduce the 5th and 6th stitches to 1 stitch. Then we're going to hook 3 more stitches. Occupies 3 stitches. 1 decrease and 3 single crochets. It's a combination. We need to hook again. Now let's go ahead and hook the second time. I just hooked it once. Let's hook a decrease. Pick up a stitch of the front loop. Pick up another stitch of the front loop. Crochet the thread and pull it over and together. This is a decrease. Then hook 3 single crochets. Okay, repeat the hook twice. Next we hooked a separate decrease. 1A. Pick up a stitch of the front loop. Pick up the front loop of the stitch again. Hook the yarn, pull it. And then we have 8 single crochets left. We hooked it. So what about after we hook the 15th round? It becomes 21 single crochets, corresponds to 21 stitches. See the letters for a while. Just hook it like this. Okay, after 15th round hook is done, we continue to hook the 16th round. Again, we first hooked up for single crochets. Next, 1 decrease and 2 single crochets is a group. Then repeat the hook twice. Let's hook. Hook a decrease first. Then 2 single crochets. It was hooked the first time. We continue to hook a second time. A decrease. Then 2 single crochets. Just hook it twice. After the hook is done, we hook a decrease. This round is also a total of 3 decreases. Then hook all the 7 single crochets. So what about after we hook the 16th round? It becomes 18 single crochets. Okay, so after we hook the 16th round, next, round 17, we just hooked single crochets in each stitch. A total of 18 single crochets. Everyone follow me to hook. Okay, we're done on round 17. Now we're going to hook round 18. Round 18. We need to hook 9 decreases first. Let's hook the first decrease. Mark it well. Second decrease. Third decrease. Fourth decrease. Fifth decrease. Sixth decrease. Seventh decrease. Eighth decrease. Ninth decrease. After the hook is done, there are a total of 9 stitches left in this round. Extend the line. Cut directly. Let's take a look. The head of our Trojan horse is hooked. This is part of the head. We'll start hooking from here in a while. Body and foot parts. Let's connect the port above to it first. Nine stitches left. Take these 9 stitches. Each stitch picks up the front loop. Just adjust the front loop of the stitch. Then tighten. There are no more holes in this place, and you run it through the rest. As for the long part, we can put it directly on the inside. Take a look at the head and it's officially hooked. What's next? We can put a small amount of fiber fill in it first. Fill it in. Take a look at this head and it's filled. In the beginning, we started from this place. We continue to hook from this place. Body and foot parts. What about this place? We've set aside 10 stitches. Let's hook these 10 stitches first. Let's take a look at the right entry line from this place. Hold the end of the yarn. Hook a chain stitch first. We also threaded the crochet through the stitches I just threaded. Hook the first single crochet. Mark it well. Let's hook these 10 single crochets. Okay, what about after hooking these 10 stitches? And at this place, continue to hook for single crochets here. We started hooking for chain stitches at this place. We want to put this place. Connect more tightly. So here we are at the last stitch. Thread the crochet here, and then we threaded the crochet from the front. Hook these 2 stitches together. Let's take a look. Hook the yarn first and pull it over, and officially through the first stitches of this 4 chain stitches. Hook the yarn and pull it over, 3 loops together. So there's no gap in this place. If we jump right over this place, what about these 4 stitches? There will be a bigger hole in this place, so we need special treatment. Then continue to hook the second stitch behind. Third stitch. Likewise, when we hook the 4th stitch, it is also handled with the other side like this. Hook the yarn and pull it over. Thread the crochet in this place below the 1st stitch. Hook a single crochet. And what happens is, the 3 loops come together, connected tightly like this. We hooked the first round of this body part. There are 14 single crochets in total. What's next? We continue to hook the body parts for the second round. Hook for single crochets first. The first stitch is still better marked. Second stitch. Third stitch. Fourth stitch. And then what we do is we hook an increase. Hook a V. Then we hooked another 7 single crochets. Corresponds to 7 stitches. Okay, after the hook is done, we will hook another increase. Finally, hook a separate single crochet. There are 16 single crochets in this round. So let's hook the 3rd round. As for the 3rd round, we just hooked single crochets in each stitch. Hook these 16 single crochets. Everyone follow me to hook. Okay, take a look at our 3rd round, and it's done. And we went on for the 4th round. We first hooked 7 single crochets, 7x. And then we hooked 7 chain stitches. After the hook is done, we will hook it backwards. Thread crochet in the 6th chain, stitch like this. We hooked a single crochet, that is, hooked to single crochets. And then thread crochet through the 5 chain stitches in the back. There is a single crochet in each stitch. Hook 5 single crochets in a row. Okay, what about after the hook is done? Let's hook all the 9 stitches above. We just hooked 7 stitches, 9 stitches left. Hook up these 9 stitches. Okay, we're done on the 4th round. Now we go on for the 5th round. Round 5, hook 7 single crochets first. Mark the first stitch. What about after hooking these 7 single crochets? We hooked this with 5 single crochets. We hooked 5 individual single crochets backwards. Right, let's hook 5 single crochets accordingly. Five good. After hooking these 5 stitches, we are in this 7 chain stitches. Thread crochet into the 6th stitch. Hook and increase. We hooked a total of 7 chain stitches. It is hooked backwards from this 6th stitch. Right, we're in this 6th stitch chain stitch. Hook and increase. Then crochet and increase into each of the 2 stitches at the back. Let's hook and increase first. And in each stitch, another increase is hooked. A total of 3 increases are hooked. This place is hooked 3 increases after the hook is done. Let's hook these 5 stitches and these 9 stitches again. A total of 14 single crochets are hooked. Everyone follow me to hook. After a whole round is hooked, it will become 32 single crochets. The 5th round of our body part is hooked. Now we go on to the 6th round. We hooked 13 single crochets first. Mark the first stitch, 2nd stitch, 3rd stitch, 4th stitch, 5th stitch, 6th stitch, 7th stitch, 8th stitch, 9th stitch, 10th stitch, 11, 12, 13. After hooking, next, an increase and 1 single crochet is a group. Repeat hook twice. Hook and increase first. Then a single crochet. It's a combination. Need to hook twice. A second time, an increase. Then a single crochet. This is the second time. And what happens next? We will hook a separate increase. Okay, after the hook is done, then hook 14 single crochets. After the 6th round is hooked, there are 35 single crochets. Corresponds to 35 stitches. After the 6th round is hooked, we move on to the 7th round. Hook 13 single crochets, 13x first. After the hook is done, an increase and 2 single crochets. It's a combination. Repeat the hook twice. Hook an increase first. Then hook 2 single crochets. This is a combination, and then 1 increase. 2 single crochets. It was hooked the second time. After the hook is done, let's hook another increase. What about next? We'll match the last 15 stitches. Crochet 15 single crochets. After the 7th round is done, it will change from 35 stitches on the 6th round to 38 stitches. Next, we continue to hook the 8th round. We hook 7 single crochets first. Mark the first stitch. Second stitch. Third stitch. Fourth stitch. After 7 single crochets, we hook an increase. Then we hook for single crochets. Okay, next we hook another increase. After the hook is done, we hook 10 single crochets. Each stitch is hooked with a stitch inside. After the hook is done, we will hook another 1 increase. Then hook for single crochets. One increase. Next, hook 9 single crochets. After the round 8, there are 42 single crochets. Okay, after the hook is done, we will continue to hook the 9th round. Hook single crochet in each stitch. Just hook these 42 stitches. Everyone follow me to hook. Okay, what about after we hook this round 9? We continue to hook for round 10. First hook 7 single crochets. Then hook an increase. Then hook up 6 single crochets. Hook another increase. Then we hook 11 single crochets and then another increase. After 11 stitches, next, we hook and increase. Then hook 6 single crochets next. Then 1 increases. Then 8 more single crochets. So after 10th round hook is done, 46 stitches in total. Then after the 10th round is hooked, the next round's 11 to 15. That is 1 single crochet in each stitch. Just hook these 46 stitches. You're following me until round 15. Okay, look, we got all the way to round 15. Now we're going to turn 16. We need to start hooking this leg part. The 16th round is mainly divided first. We hooked 10 single crochets first. Mark the first stitch. After 10 single crochets are hooked, then we 3 chain stitches. What about after the hook is done? Let's see, we just hooked 10 stitches, right? We directly started with the first stitch just hooked. Inside the stitches, thread the crochet and connect it. And this is the position of our first leg. We'll hook 2 single crochets in the 3 chain stitches. That is to say, a total of 12 stitches per leg. So what's next? Inside the first stitch. Then hook the first round of the first leg. We just did round 16. It just separated the first leg from the body. We did the first round of the first leg. After the first stitch is hooked, we mark it. Let's hook these 10 stitches first. And then we put on these 3 chain stitches. Just hooked out to single crochets. 1 stitch. Then put on another stitch. Then the first round of our legs is hooked. What about the second to fourth rounds? 1 single crochet in each stitch. Just hook these 12 single crochets. Everyone follow me to hook. Okay, look, we got all the way to the 4th round. Next we do the 5th round. 5th round. 1 decrease and 2 stitches is a group. Repeat the hook 3 times. Hook a decrease first. Mark it well. Then 2 single crochets. This is the first group. Next hook a second time. A decrease. 2 single crochets. This is the second time. And then a third time. A decrease. 2 single crochets. This is the third time. This round becomes 9 stitches. Then the 6th and 7th rounds. 1 single crochet in each stitch. Just hook 9 single crochets each round. As for each leg, just hook it 7 rounds. Everyone follow me. First hook this round 6 and 7. Okay, let's move on to round 7. Don't forget to mark the first stitch. Hook this round 7 for him. Okay, after hooking these 9 single crochets, extend the yarn. Leave a long tail. Cut directly. And let's connect this place with a suture needle. Let's take a look. Skip the first stitch. Thread the stitch from the position of the second stitch. And we found the last stitch. Pick its back loop. Go through it like this with the loop below. That's it. Then our first leg is done. After the first leg is hooked, now we're going to hook the second leg. Let's take a look. From this spot on the right-hand side, we count 10 stitches. We threaded the crochet into the 10th stitch. Re-entry yarn. Hook the yarn. Pull it over and press the end of the yarn. First hook a chain stitch. Then in the 10th stitch hook a single crochet. Hook these 10 stitches first. Okay, after hooking these 10 stitches, so take a look. We're right here on the first leg. The 3 chain stitches hooked are threaded at this place. Let's hook 2 stitches on it, right? The second leg is also hooked with 2 stitches from this top. What about after the 2 stitches are done? We go directly to this first single crochet inside the stitches. Just start hooking the first round of this leg. Same as the first leg. First hook the 12 single crochets with 4 rounds. Everybody will follow me. Follow the method of the first leg. Just hook the second leg for it. A total of 7 rounds. The first leg and second leg are done. Then, let's crochet the back to legs. In the middle, we counted 3 stitches. Skip these 3 stitches. Thread the crochet from the position of the 4th stitch. This is the first stitch in our third leg. Mark it well. Count 10 stitches from the 4th stitch position. That is to say, just repeat the method for crocheting the first leg. Let's hook. Thread the crochet from the position of the 4th stitch. Hook the yarn and pull it over. Hook a chain stitch first. And we also hooked a single crochet inside the stitch. Hooked 10 single crochets. What about after hooking these 10 stitches? Next we hook 3 chain stitches. Then turn around and at the first stitch, we're going to do the first round of the third leg. Repeat this previous hook method again. Then after the third leg is hooked, we counted 10 stitches. Just hook the 4th leg. Also from these 3 chain stitches, hook 2 stitches. Repeat the hook for the second leg. Then follow me to hook the 2 legs. The method is exactly the same. Okay, after we hooked all 4 legs, we just fill it with fiber fill. Including these 4 legs, fill them with fiber fill. Then we put the belly part. Sew it up. Let's take a look at the suturing process. Bring yarn through from other parts like this. Just put this place. Just sew it up accordingly. Squeeze it together like this. Just sew it up accordingly. Let's take a look at the suturing process. Okay, what about after we sew this belly? Let's hook the mane of the horse. So first we start with the stitch. We can use a chain stitch to start the stitch. Make a loop like this first. Crochet in. Pull the small left hand properly and build the line well. Then the crochet is pulled around the thread. This is the stitch. We hook 22 stitches in a row. Let's hook. After hooking the 22nd stitch, let's take a look. First we hook up 6 more chain stitches. What about after hooking these 6 stitches? We threaded the crochet into the 22nd stitch. Hook a slip stitch. Bring it directly like this. That's it. We'll repeat the process. Hook 6 chain stitches. Then thread the crochet in the 21st stitch. Hook a slip stitch. Bring it like this. Just follow this method and keep hooking. Hook until the last stitch. Repeat the hook. 6 chain stitches. Then connect it. Everyone follow me. Hook this hairy part to it. It's fairly simple. So let's take a look. What about after all are hooked? Just hook this thread and pull it over. Okay, there is a long line. Easy to sew later. Our main part is hooked. And what happens next? Let's go ahead and hook the tail part. What about the tail part? We also use chain stitches. Make a loop like this first. Crochet in. Pull down appropriately. Hook 9 chain stitches first. After the hook is done, we threaded the crochet into the 8th stitch. Put a corresponding increase in each stitch. There is an increase hook inside the 8th stitch. There is an increase in the hook inside the 7th stitch. Just hook them back in turn. 8 increases hooked in 8 stitches. 16 stitches in total. Everyone follow me to hook. Okay, after the hook is done, pull the yarn over. Leave a long tail. Cut directly. Take a look at the tail part and it's hooked. It's very simple. Then hook this mane and tail. That's all we've got left with this Trojan horse. The 2 ears on the body. Let's take a look. This is what it looks like after the 2 ears are hooked. The hook method is very simple. Everybody's looking at the diagrams. Hook these 2 ears to it. What about after the ears are hooked? We still have 2 logs. We hooked ahead of time. The hook method is also very simple. You're going to follow the diagrams and hook them well. After all are hooked, let's do some sutures. We're going to start off by sewing on the ear. The ears are sewn on the top of the head. This position on the back of the 4th round. Let's take a look. This is the long yarn left by the ear. What about after each part is hooked? Leave such a long thread first. Fold it in half like this. Thread these 4 layers together. Take a look and sew it on this one. This position on the 5th and 6th rounds is fine. This position between rounds 5 and 6. Take a look at the suturing process. Then install the 2 eyes. This one mounted on the top of the head. Rounds 10 and 11. The middle position is fine. What about after installing the eyes? And what we're going to do is we're going to sew on the tail. Just sew it directly in this place. Just sew a few stitches. Cut the long part directly. Take a look at the tail and it's sewn up. And what about the long thread tail? Hook him directly into this body. Okay, what about after the tail is sewn? And here we're going to sew on the fluff. Let's take a look. We start from this neck and body, this location. Just start sewing up. Keep sewing like this. Sewed in a straight line. Everyone followed me to sew. Thread the stitches from this position. Just keep sewing up, sewing in the middle. Just sew it into a straight line. What about after the loose hair is sewn? We're going to use this yellow yarn. Sketch him a few of these decorations. It's very simple. Let's take a look. What about this place? You can choose at will. There's nothing particularly fixed about this. Anywhere is fine. That's all. Just give him a little cross. Cross it like this. Then what about the next place? Just follow this method. We sketched him a few. Just come with this trinket. Everyone follow me to hook. After sketching this ornament for him on both sides, so we're going to sew on a piece of wood here. You can see that the wood itself is straight. Let's bend him a little bit like this. Then what about putting the two horse legs? Sew him in the middle. Let's take a look. Let's sew it up. Defend in the middle. You sew along the outline of this round. That's it. It's attached to this piece of wood. All right, we sewed this pony onto this log. So what happens next? We're on top of this log and decorate it on the legs of the horse. We need to hook 3. Outline 1 in the middle. Then 1 here and 1 here. Let's take a look. It also hooked this small cross. It's just a little bigger. The method is the same. Then wear it to the next position. What about after sketching? Let's thread directly under the horse's leg. And we use the yellow line. Wrap it like this under the leg a few times. Two to three times is enough. Okay, what's next? We continue to hook another cross. Thread the needle directly from below. We can put this leg part first. Wrap it like this, and then sketch the cross. Okay, so what do we do down there? Hooked him this third cross. Adjust it a little bit. Lean up a little bit. So that's a little sketch. Cut the long part directly. Then we follow the same method. Put another log. And what about the legs? Just outline them for him like this. Okay, look at this piece of wood. Both sides are sketched, and the legs are all sketched. Then what about after sketching? And we're going to hook that tape again at the end. Tie it around this neck and this place. Our strap is directly hooked with this chain stitch. Use the red line to hook. Put this little bell through first. We started hooking braids. About 40 stitches. The little bell is fixed in the middle part. That's it. It's very simple. Just hook it inside. That's all you need. It's very simple. This is also an ornament for the pony. Okay, what about after the hook is done? And this is what it looks like. Extend the line. Cut directly. What about the end of the thread? Trim it a little. And then we attach it to this neck. Just tie it up like this. Let's take a look. Let's adjust this position. Okay, our rocking horse is done. Our place can be shaken. Very cute. Alright, this is the end of our tutorial today. Thanks for your watching. See you in the next video tutorial.